Jessica from Audacity, and I am here with my new friend Jermell from the Smart Dumb podcast. Welcome.
Hi, how you doing? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So, guys, Jermell is super cool, and I'm so happy that he is now part of our network. We are going to be talking today about the Smart Dumb podcast and also his amazing talents as a slam poet. Did I say that correctly?
Amazing talents, I'll take it. I'm not a slam poet. I'm a just spoken word artist.
Spoken word artist.
Yeah. That's a whole different lane. I'll be happy to talk about that and why I'm not in that.
Yeah. Okay. So, now that we're on the topic, okay, tell us the difference between a slam poet and a spoken word artist, because I think a lot of people assume that spoken word people just do slam. So
it's kind of goofy. No, that's fair. That's fair. It's one of those kind of nuances. It's not the worst thing in the world to confuse. But slam poetry is basically like a specific competitive style. So typically, from what I know, it tends to be about 2 rounds. You're gonna deliver a piece. There's gonna be maybe like 5. There's gonna probably be 5 judges, and you're gonna drop 2 of those scores. So you're typically going to get 3 to 3 highest to go towards a score of 30. So, you do that. You have round 1. It might have had 8 to 10, however many people. Then you cut it down to a smaller group. They do their round 2, and then we come up, at the winner. Now, there's definitely, spades doesn't have rules all the way around. Like, there are definitely nuances that make people's slams different. But, the purpose of that is to crown a champion. Whereas I just show up, to an open mic, do what I do, go back to being a fan, keep it moving. That's the difference.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So slam is more like the competition circuit, whereas spoken word is more like we're all just here for the art to have a good time.
Your open mic is just, typically somebody showing up, getting on a list. I've even been fortunate enough to be a feature or on a list of features. So it might even be a closed mic, but even still, this set group of people are going to just, entertain the audience, make it a good night. You know what I mean?
Nice. Okay, well, we're going to have to pull up and see some of your spoken word someday.
It would be, and the beauty is, besides, I'm out of the Baltimore area, and I love the scene out there. I've only been here 6 years. I really cut my teeth as a poet over in Arizona, surprisingly enough.
Nice.
And the reason that, people don't really think too much of, culture and events at Arizona all the time, but Arizona is one of those places where transplants come to, kind of like the DMV area. So like my homie who's a Sigma, he's coming from Chicago. Like a lot of the dope poets came from North Carolina, New York, California. And then Phoenix has their own, homegrown as well. But we just all kind of came to that one area and made it what it is. So, now I'm over in Baltimore in the DMV area. They get to benefit from all the times that I was doing poems that weren't really that good. I kind of figured it out now, these days.
That's interesting because we never really talk much about the poet community. We always talk about the writer community, the dance community. I started off as a dancer. So when you said the difference between competition and craft, I knew all about that because I did not do competition dance. I was a conservatory dancer. So I went to class and I did my showcases, but I did not do, not performance. I didn't perform, but I didn't do competition because I just thought that that circuit was just kind of ugly. That's just me. It's also a gold mine though. I'll be honest. It was a gold mine. So I get why people did it, but talk to us a little bit more about the spoken word community and how we can find them, because I love stuff like that. And I knew that Atlanta had a community like this, but I never knew where to find them. And I think a lot of people will be interested in coming to see more. And obviously you guys need more eyes and ears. So, tell us how we can get into that.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. First and foremost, let me shout out, we're calling ourselves the Poets Network. Shout out to Steph Marie out in our area. We have a couple of, somewhere between 8 or 10, it's probably going to be growing and, evolving, but a lot of the poets in this kind of group that we're working together on actually host their own, open mics. So everybody and if I forget any of y'all, it was not, remember, I named the group, but anybody from Nerd to Black to Poet to Tilo to Magina. Now I know I'm missing people, but I did not do that on purpose. But a lot of them run an open mic so you can just kind of pull up on them as they take, their years of experience and their reach to bring in, have an open mic opportunity for others who are, been doing it for a while, brand new, but maybe not, on the leadership side of things. But like our group is definitely like, we're aiming to make our little bit of difference. We're not the first nor the last, but it's kind of, if you go into music, analogy, like the Soul Aquarians was just a bunch of artists from D'Angelo to Questlove that then eventually clearly got big and did their own thing, but they had some kind of collective to start. And, I feel like that's kind of something we're trying to do. So I'm just shouting out random artists, just in our area, Keith the Lioness, Orville the Poet, Backpack Jeff. Like these are the Truth the Poet. Like these are various people who have platforms. Some of them have already traveled, and graced Atlanta and other stages. And even some of them have even headed overseas. Like we got some poets that, are really making, some things happen. So with that being said, poetry needs to work more on letting people know that we're here, to your point. So it's like, thank you for that question. But also it shouldn't be like, we need to get to a point where you already know, like, oh, no, there's something every day. There's a feature here. There's like a showcase of just all talent, here and there, Houston, Atlanta, Phoenix, New York, Philly, like all those main cities, all of California, like they have that presence. Eventbrite, we do good with that. IG is usually good. Like once you find a poet, they're usually pretty good with, hey, go to this and check that out and see this, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, once you jump in that wormhole, if you're trying to stay in there, we got something for you.
I love it. And like what I really love about this community and what you're telling me about it, at least, is that it's this reemergence of the collective, because I feel like, and maybe like, not saying that we haven't had that in this generation, because we have plenty, but we've kind of been a little bit isolated and disempowered from that over the last 2 years because, obviously there's a global pandemic. So we could not be the collective that we needed to be. So let's talk about that, this idea of like, collective and community, not just necessarily in poetry, but in professionalism and in craft and in art in general. Like, talk to me a little bit more about the importance of having a collective and what that's done for you and what you think that can do for other people.
Absolutely, no, great question. So let's first start out, poets are people too. Shout out to Poetic Boy D, that's one of his slogans. So, the cattiness and the competition, all that type of stuff, that happens here too. But we're not going to focus on that. We're going to talk, about the good part. Right. Just say like that. Let's not, we're the,
I can tell you about stuff.
Yeah. Let's not, we're the raised higher beings. No, we're petty. Yeah, we're petty too. You know what I mean? So let's, but no, I think as far as, the pandemic actually, like, I laser focused across different things. Like I worked out better. I slept better. You know what I'm saying? And I got in my creative bag better. And what happened there is a lot of poets are extroverts straight up. I'm more like an ambivert, but they're like, nah, I'm not about to just sit up here. Right? I'm not surprised. I'm not about to just sit up here and just sit around and stare at my walls. Like I need some interaction. So I connected, let me shout out the Yonkers writing group, a bunch of, writers out of New York. So I knew one of them. I didn't know anybody else. And, the Zooms and, the different, type of technology, brought me around an individual who's 7 hours away on a consistent basis. So I think, I just feel like just our natural, we like to entertain. A lot of us are all the way on the extrovert side and like, nah, just sitting around wasn't going to do it. It just wasn't like, they're sustaining. These are the type of people that, tend to be the change they want to see. So, that's where the reaching out and connecting across the, from the East Coast to the West Coast, or even from the East Coast to the UK, which happened quite a few times. As far as, I'm one of those ones, like, I'm not a full-time poet and I probably never will be. But as far as, I definitely know at this point, I have a talent level enough that it can, be lucrative here and there. So as I'm not a full-time poet, trying to do the whole, I'm going to figure everything out by myself and I don't need anybody else and I mean, it's just not a good idea. Like,
Yeah.
there's times and rhymes and reasons. One of my, nerd, actually, he's from Cali, and he made a point that, like, the support only goes so far, because usually in Cali, the other people that you're checking out are also aspiring artists. So, they go, yeah, you're cool and all, but like, I'm about to get on too, so your low key competition, whether it's friendly competition or who that person think they is, behind your back competition, you know what I mean? So, I think that's what I love about what Steph and the group she has is trying to, like, we are trying to say, like, look, there really is enough for everybody to eat. Yes. And I'll take it a step further. Like, I think there's plenty of amazing artists. Everybody's not business savvy.
That's true.
So it's like, the reality of the situation is there's this, one of the hardest, most fire poems is someone, up the street, kind of, wherever. But as far as putting that, getting that, them connected, booking that, getting the budget that's not, this is the poet budget, so we're going to get y'all $100, but the speaker would have got, you know what I mean? Like, we're not doing that anymore.
Speakers get like $1,000 and then poets get like $100.
You're at 100 each for 3-4 pieces. It's like, but you're only worth what the contract says. So that's, that's us needing to stop saying, well, I got away with, and I'll even say that too.
Yeah.
There don't need to be too many more $5 or $10 open mics, unless, if it's for the community, you good and you're just doing a service for the community, that's fine. But we're not about to keep pretending that 8 to 9 artists are going to give you fire and it's only $10 and then mumble rapper is charging $90. We're not doing that.
Okay, say it again. Say it again, because
you're letting them get away with it though. That's us.
It's a passion tax thing. Yeah, I agree. Like, I feel like a lot of times people will prey on, because I'm an artist as well, obviously. Like, I'm an actor and I started off as a dancer and everything. And one of the things that I noticed is that, and it's a problem, it's a generational problem now, where like people will take advantage of your passion, your creativity, your enthusiasm, and especially like to do it to millennials and Gen Z. And anybody who's in their 20s, basically, who just doesn't know anybody, anybody who's in like their 20s or even sometimes their early 30s, who just like is like, oh, I just need a break. I just need a break. And they take advantage of that and lowball you. Right. So, it's so important when you're in the creative industry, no matter what path that may be, to manage yourself.
Yes.
So, like, do you do your own management for yourself, I assume?
So, and maybe it doesn't need to be managed. Like, some people know if you know that's not what you do, then it is worth it is worth bringing somebody in. But that part, however that part gets handled, it needs to get handled. So, to answer your question, I mean, I'm basically just at that point. Like, I put in crazy work. Again, coming back to when pandemic started, like, I really hit a different stride. I was already trending up, but like, I hit a different stride. So there's no more proving. Like, I already know what I can do. So now it's, now we're being like, do you see the worth? If you don't, then cool. Like, but I'm not, the amount of time it takes, the effort, the life experience that I had to go through to figure out the poem to entertain y'all. Like, no, it's not. There's value there. So if you see it, cool. If you don't, I'll wait. I that's where I'm at. Like, I don't have no problem, waiting out until the opportunity finds out. And those opportunities are there. So it really is truly, like you said, being from the manager side of things and turning it into, like, make this worth the energy and the effort and of course, and the service that I'm going to provide. You know what I mean? It's important. So for me, I pretty much know how to do it. I have a whole list of full-time poets that I'm not gonna call them peers because they're better than me, but they let me sit at the table with them. You know what I mean? I'll call myself the little brother, whether they call me that or not. But like, I'm learning from y'all, and I just pick up. If it works for them, it works for me. You know what I mean?
That's good. So, all right, this will be my last question before we make a new segue. So, as we know, poets are the voice of the people. Like, that's just what it is. Poets, writers, y'all say what everybody else is thinking.
Right.
be it popular or an unpopular opinion.
Right.
So we are in a time right now where I think a lot of freedoms are very much so in jeopardy. And this tends to be y'all's time to shine. So can you give us an idea as to like how you're participating that in that, if at all? Like, are you
No.
you're
Oh
doing
no.
art for therapy versus art for protest, you know?
Yeah, no. I'm with all that. I'm with all, like, my, my backstory. My backstory was, the politically correctness, respectability politics, show up early, stay late, make sure you make everybody else comfortable, all that type of shit, and it got me nowhere. You know what I mean? And so on the flip side, being my authentic self, is very welcome, because the part of me that, where there is no conflict, and we're just, I love to laugh, I love to make people laugh, I love to entertain, I'm here to bring good time, I'm very unselfish and all that type of stuff. Now, when I get pushed to that other side, that's a very unpleasant for them. I'm entertained, like, I thought it was funny. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. I've had those conversations. It's like, man, it's like you look forward to those. I don't really, but it's happened so often.
You don't want to go to that place, but like if they push you, then like what Drake said, game, so I want to play too. Like,
exactly, right. It's my turn now. You know what I mean? Go listen. I'm not Michelle Obama. Then she said, we go higher. I'll go lower.
No, we take it to the listen. My friends and I were talking about this recently, and what I always tell people is there is a time and a place for going high. And unfortunately, this is not that time anymore. And even then, when she said it, as well-meaning as it was and as correct as it is for other instances, I don't think that's an instance where we should have gone high. I think that should have gone directly to the gutter immediately.
Right.
Directly gone to the gutter, because what ended up happening is these folks on that side of the fence thought that was an invitation to continue, and now our entire Congress is almost murdered. I hope the lone survivor was where they were supposed to be, because our entire Congress literally almost got murdered that day. So where I'm at with it now is we cannot continue going high at this point. There is no high road. There is, you get in here and you show folks what you're made of, because otherwise this is going to turn into, and we're just going to go ahead and call this what it is. This is going to turn into a far white supremacist country if this continues. It's going to go that direction. I don't see the people of the United States letting it get that far, but it's going to have to be one hell of a fight now. And I truly believe that our generation and artists of our generation will be able to lead that charge and draw more attention to it. So, with what you're doing in your field, like I said, it's y'all's time to shine and everything. And we haven't had a resurgence like this. I like to consider this a renaissance, actually. And I said this before Beyonce said it out loud, maybe, but like, y'all know Beyonce is coming. So, and I do feel like there's a certain level of like artistic renaissance that's coming through right now that is going to reflect what's happening right now. And, like you said, you see yourself being a part of it. You are a part of it. You're in it and everything. What can we as your audience do to further bolster that?
I think two things that I can think of. First of all, I think we have, and when I specifically talk about Black people, like, we have a window right now. It's started already, like the whole, that they're finally, I hate to say it, but like one of the more police brutality, like one of them happened, I think it was Breonna Taylor. And like, that just was the, and it's sad. Okay, so what about all the other people that has happened to before and happened since? But for whatever reason, Breonna Taylor like really was like, all right, look, we're getting tired of it.
I would say it was George Floyd, actually, because Breonna Taylor, this is just the way I see it. Breonna Taylor happened 3 months before George Floyd, but nobody was really in the streets with Breonna Taylor just yet. People hit the street immediately after George Floyd, and then Breonna Taylor started picking up more traction.
Like that, we piggybacked, and that was one of the instances where it's okay to do that, because like, So I'm gonna put a pin on the piggyback thing, on the co-op thing, because that's. But we are gonna talk about that. But no, I think. But you're right, and that speaks to, to be quite frank, it was a Black woman body. The world doesn't particularly care, whereas George Floyd was enough of just so many things prior to that was the catalyst that then brought, now we brought along, again, I can't name enough, Trayvon Samir, young lady, the young lady that the jail cell, the SG Road, like, you know what I'm saying? So many instances, but like at this point, I say all that to say, Black Lives Matter, everybody had a campaign, DEI, that's all over. Like, so we have, yes, there's, a lot of dog and pony shows, but this is a window that Black people need to be taking advantage of, because it's here, but it's, with asterisks. So when it goes away, they definitely not gonna care. You know what I'm saying? When it goes away again, they're definitely not gonna care
right
anymore.
Now we have Band-Aids.
Yeah, exactly. So the one thing is, everybody has a little bit more of a voice than they used to. If somebody checks out what I say, I'm not encouraging nobody. Like, I'm in a position that I can stand behind and deal with the consequences of anything I say. Like, I have a whole IT job. If one of them sees one of the wrong poems, they're gonna feel away. That's cool. I have a skill set that I'll be good. Some people, you can't just jump out there and just call everybody whatever you want. And I can only do that now. You know what I mean? Like, I did it years ago and I had to pay for my consequences.
You got to go off of their reason.
Right. You should have told him that. I didn't know the reason. I didn't know what that was. You know what I mean? So that's one, man, I might have to come back on the second one because it was right there and now it's gone.
My bad.
Yeah, it's fine. It'll come back. It'll come back. If it was a good point, it'll come back. And if it was trash, then
I'm over here in my amen corner and made this man lose.
Right. I was going to it like, right. It's all good. Listen, and you see, like, I've gone through, so I will say that. So my first open mic, my first performance was 2010. And I'm not kidding. Like, I'm not modest. It was awful. Like, it really was bad. Like, I'll be like, no, it was terrible. And my man would tell you, it's like, yeah, it's pretty bad. But like, so I've dealt with that. I've had an amazing poem that I got up on stage and immediately forgot. I've had, I've had too many, I've had some great ups, but I've had some downs, and it didn't, people's fear, like, was it like the second biggest fear is public speak. Like, I've gotten up there and done whatever somebody thought the word. I've done everything but fall. Like, other than that, right. But like, okay. And I got through that. So even this, like, I had a second point, lost it, whatever. I don't really let it get to me too much more. I care about the craft a lot, but that's not how I manifested. Like, either it's perfect or I wasted my whole time or nobody got anything. Like, I remember one of the times again, same thing, came up, did 2 lines, forgot all the rest of it, had to read off the phone. I got probably the most, some of the biggest reception and follows on that day because the content still was the content. I just wanted it to be perfect, but it wasn't. And you keep it moving, you know what I mean? And do it better, do it again the next time. So that was a little like, yeah, I think, again, Black people, we've been taught to work twice as hard, we off that. We are off that, because how many times have you seen the thing that goes viral, the artist that goes platinum, the person that wins the award, the movie that wins the award? Are they the best?
No, and they're sometimes still not the hardest worker. They have the smartest team. They might have the smartest team, but they're not always the best. And everybody's like, it's not going to be the most talented person. It's going to be the hardest worker. I'm like, it's not even going to be the hardest worker. It's not even that. It's going to be the hardest worker.
It's not even that. It's smart. Like, we really got to learn how to work smart.
Team. Yeah, like the person who works the smartest and has the smartest team.
Right. It's those results. So yeah, I think, we snuck that in, but that's important. That's definitely important. And that's industry wide, like life wise. Like this whole, burn both, sides of the, it's like there's times and a place for that, right? Like right now it makes sense. Like, I'm really locked in, but that's right now. Right. And it's got a purpose later. I'm not about to keep doing this 5 to 10 years later. You know what I mean? Like, not busting as hard as I am right now. Yeah. It's going to be to set those up to where I do snap a finger You know what I'm saying? Where I do, like, I'm one of those ones people think of first when they're trying to put something together. So,
exactly.
You know, man, I really forgot it, but you know, it is important. Like, we definitely need to be outspoken. Those who can afford to do it, those who, you know, have that, you know, that audacity, that bravery, that, you know, and willing to, is willing, willing to, you know, that understands what, you know, what's at stake, and just, you know, those people that just kind of have that this is bigger than me spirit, like, go do it. I'm not trying to really, I got it. We have got to, we're not, there's no more of the one leader. That's done.
Yes, I agree.
That's right. We're not looking for the next Martin Luther because what they do to him. We're not looking for the next Malcolm X because what did we do to him? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not, you know, unite. It has to be strength in numbers, power of friendship, you know. So that's what we can do, is it makes more sense to band together and do my little part and do that part. And when they're doing their thing, salute that. Hey, pay attention to that. When it's my turn again, you know, when I need a break, when I'm a whole father, when I just have a mental, you know, need a rest, I can take that, because we're not all depending on
one person.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what, you know,
I agree. It can't be one face case anymore. It has to be multiple. Multiple. Right. Otherwise, I agree. Otherwise, I don't think it's too much for the one person. Like, that one person, that one person needs a break. It's too much for one person. And to be honest, like, it ends up making them a martyr. And that's not what we want. We don't want people to be martyrs anymore. We want actual change. And we do that by, like you said, moving forward as a collective. So I'm going to segue. There's actually a perfect way to do this. Talk to me about the Smart Dumb podcast.
So basically, so back in 2017, I was in a terrible IT job. That was so bad I actually took like 3-4 years away from corporate. In that process, so when I first started there, the president of the company at the time, a white woman, very nice lady, like, along the way, she was like, you know, you really have, like, you know, that you have that voice, you know what I'm saying? That should be, like, that should be. And I mean, and this was not the first nor last person that said that, but like, I think that was one of the last people, you know, to say it, where I really felt like maybe I should actually do something. And I've always known, like, I just have always had a different, you know, thoughts than most, or definitely general, you know what I'm saying, general public and all that. So that's really what I started. I actually started the education, the tutoring company I have, and this, because these were like, okay, you know, this isn't working. Let me start trying to tap into the passions. And so those two were basically born around the same time. So when I first started the podcast, Smart Dumb Podcast, it was just kind of, me and, you know, my approach or my take on this situation, or this is my history, or, you know, this is my corporate America experience, the highs and the lows, you know, having 2 degrees, but also having, you know, multiple run-ins with people, having 2 Black male bosses be some of the worst bosses I ever had in my life. But these were supposed to be the, you know, the self-proclaimed, we're just setting you up for the real world, preparing you. And the whole time is like, they actually paid me like the 2 lowest salaries in my professional career. Like, if I do,
I need that to
you know what I mean? So like, you know, so it's like, life experiences. And then I actually pivoted to interviews, because I don't like to hear myself all the time.
That's fair. And honestly, listen, and when I say that's fair, I don't mean that to be shady, I promise. I just think that, like, a lot of times, like, for one thing, it's one of the things that makes these things interesting. So, like, for Audacity, like, I'll do, like, my long story shorts and stuff like that, and those are usually by myself. But I like doing collaborative projects like this, because it shows, for one thing, it humbles you to your audience. It's not one of those things where it's like, hey, like, I'm the expert. And
you know, like, and this side is good too. Like, nah,
like, it just comes across like you have like a God complex when it's just you all the time too much, you know? So it's good to have guests, and honestly, like it adds layers, like people have some really cool stuff to contribute to the table, which is why I'm happy we did this, obviously. But I'm super excited. So where can we find the podcast? Where can we find it? Tune in, listen, follow, support.
Yeah, it's like if you can't find it where you would look, then let me know. We got to fix that. But like, yeah, I hosted it on Anchor when it started. So then when it got acquired by Spotify, that just increased the reach. But even back when it was just Anchor, so it's already on Apple, it's already on Google, it's already on Castbox. And then I got an email this week that Amazon Music and Audible are getting into that space, so it should be there as well. So yeah, I don't know if you knew that, but it's like
but that's cool.
Yeah, take your RSS feed, submit it there. Like it was 5 minutes. Like you know what I mean. So yeah, it's almost like you should be able to find it everywhere. Most people seem to be on Apple Podcasts when they look, and I'm definitely there.
Awesome. Well, guys, make sure you tune in to the Smart Dem podcast on all these amazing streaming platforms. Jermell, thank you so much. It is a pleasure to speak with you again and to talk about all the fun projects you have coming up. We are coming to it's not a slam, to a spoken word event. We will be there with our bells and whistles and our Audacity.
Come on. The beauty is like they actually do have a lot more, primarily online. So you can be right there, comfortably, you can have the Netflix right here. Oh, I want to hear him, hit the mute button, listen real quick, and you can catch the replays and things like that. So we're that's what I'm saying. It's on us. We'll make it more aware because there are people that really do want to see the arts more. And it's like we actually are very accessible. So we'll work on it.
We're looking forward to it. Guys, if you like this content, make sure you drop a comment, hit the like button, and follow Jermell in the Smart Dem podcast. We'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you again.
Thank you.